Hello and welcome to the video demonstration of UManager, a user management tool for Oracle EBS from Technevo Solutions. When you install UManager, you will receive a default user as shown, which can be shared across your organization. And when you log in using this common user, the only access that would be available is to the UManager tool itself. You cannot perform any other actions using this user. This is the initial screen of UManager, and we are going to have a look at how we create a new user for a new employee. So in our case, we are assuming that an employee named Justin Smith has just joined the organization and we want to create a new user for him. So we will enter the username as Justin_Smith, and it shows you who his manager is, that is John Allen. In the section below, you would enter all the responsibilities that you want Justin to have access to. So we are assigning him the user management tool itself. We also want to assign him the receivables responsibility. And then we also want to assign him the cash management responsibility. And there we go. And let's say we want to add order management as well. So basically we are trying to make Justin a kind of order to cash process user. And finally, just for testing, we are also going to assign him application developer. So with this, we've completed basically assigning all the responsibilities that we want our new employee Justin to have. And once we are done, we would click on the submit button. At this stage, the tool is basically launching a workflow, and it will show you a message indicating who it's gone to approval for and what the unique ID of your request is. So in this case, it's 23. Now Justin can also, or anyone with access to UManager, can go and have a look at the user management requests and their status. As you can see, there are lots of filter criteria here. Suppose we just want to have a look at user management request from Justin Smith himself. So there we see it, request ID 23, which is in process. And we can also view the approval workflow from here if required. Now let's log in as his manager, John Allen. And once we log in as John, we go to the notifications work list. And on the notification work list, we would see a new notification, which is for the new user creation request, which requires approval from John, since John is Justin's manager. So the notification has details on who the employee is who has raised the request and what are the responsibilities that he requires access to. Now John at this stage approves this particular notification, and Justin would now be able to log into the system with the default password of welcome123, which is what is assigned for all new users. And once he logs in, he can see all the responsibilities that he requested access for. You can also see the same thing from sysadmin. So your DBA can also track this, and he can query up for Justin's user, and he would see the 5 responsibilities that he requested access to, and the employee is also linked to the user. Now let's say that Justin has been with the organization for a long time and he requires some additional responsibilities. So maybe he is also getting involved in the purchasing department. So he would again go back to the user management or the UManager tool, enter his username here, and you can see that now, because this is an edit to an existing user, the employee name field is read-only. He chooses the new responsibility that he requires, which is purchasing in this case. and he clicks on submit. Once he's done that, it's basically logged a new request in UManager, and that's gone to approval to John Allen, and the ID is 24. So if you want, you can go back and have a look at this request and its status from here, and you see that the request ID 24, which is for adding responsibility to a user, is in process, and that's the old request for creating a new user. So you also have a complete audit trail. Now John has received the notification asking that a responsibility addition request requires your approval. So when he opens the notification, he would see who is the employee that has requested this access and what is the responsibility that he has requested access to. Now John decides to approve this request by clicking on approve. And once that's done, if you go back to sysadmin and query up the user for Justin, hit query for Justin_Smith, you will see that the new responsibility that he requested, purchasing vision operations, has been assigned to Justin now. Now let's say that Justin no longer works in the cash management department. So since he's taken on new responsibilities of purchasing, he doesn't want to continue, or his job doesn't require him to work in cash management anymore. So he logs a new request and he chooses the responsibility. Now here he will see only the responsibilities that are already assigned to him. So he chooses the cash management responsibility from that list, clicks OK, and then he clicks on submit after choosing the correct responsibility. When he clicks submit, it's logged a new request with a new ID, and that's again gone for approval to John. So as you can see, the entire process is always approval driven, and users cannot make changes to their own user definition without approval from their reporting managers. And the UManager tool itself maintains a complete audit trail of which employee, which user requested for what access, or what changes to his access happened on what date. So this is a complete audit trail. John Allen has now received a new notification, responsibility removal request, requested revised access without these responsibilities, and that's the responsibility that he wanted to remove. So John approves it, and if you go back to sysadmin and you query for Justin Smith's user, you now see that the cash management responsibility has an end date against it. So that's the cash management responsibility, and it's got an end date on it. So Justin would no longer have access to cash management. Now let's say that Justin decides to leave the organization and you want to disable his access. So all you got to do is go back to UManager, enter the username and hit on submit. So that's a new request that has been logged again with a new ID. And there's a new notification for John saying that disabling of user requires your approval. So John opens the notification, he sees who is the employee, so that's Justin Smith, and take appropriate action. So John decides to approve this notification because Justin has decided to leave the organization. And if we were to go back to sysadmin and have a look at Justin's user again, you would see that it is inactive and there is an end date on the user. Thank you for your interest in UManager. To order your installation, please follow these instructions. Thank you.